Well, over the many years of being involved in leadership, obviously one learns different things. And I'd just like to share with you some of the key things that I have come to realise are important. Often I talk about that leadership is, and then out of that I define what it should be. First of all, leadership is about relationship. The key relationship is with God. You know, our leadership will rise and fall on the strength of our relationship with God. But that's not the only relationship. Everything actually, for leadership to really work, is all about relationships. The next relationship is the relationship in my marriage. Many leaders actually neglect their marriage, and therefore their leadership struggles, because what goes on in private determines what happens in public. So our marriage, next to knowing God, is our number one priority. Even if our wife or our husband is not actively involved visibly with us in leadership, our relationship with them is crucial. Then next to that is our family. There's no point if we're looking after the family of God and we not look after our own family. And so we need to give time to our family. Even when they're married and grown up and leave home, we still need to give time to our family. Another area of relationship that we need to give attention to is where we perhaps work. We might not be in ministry full time, so if we're in work, then we need to have good relationships there. It's so important. Relationship works at every level. So we have to look after those relationships. And around where we live, there's no point being loved by everybody in the church, but we don't have good relationships where we live. So we need to again give time to those relationships. And then another key area of relationships as a leader is in the church. We need to build good relationships with the body in the church, where people can actually have access to us, but also we have good relationships with them. And then finally, where this is the most crucial thing, like our marriage is crucial, and this is the next crucial thing, leadership is about relationship within our leadership. We're not there just to work together. Within our leadership should be the safest place where we have good relationship, we share with one another, we're open with each other, we support each other, we can be totally honest with each other. And unless our relationships are strong, our leadership will also be weak. Another thing I say leadership is about servanthood. We are called to serve people. Today we've imported into the church a lot of business models where we have a hierarchy, the chief executive officer, and he just keeps handing commands down to people and nobody can get to him. But that's not what we see in Scripture. Jesus called people to be with him and he served them. He said, if we want to be blessed, wash feet like he washed feet. Today, some leaders want everybody to wait on them hand and foot, carry their bag, get them their drink, do all these things. They must have the best seat, they have the biggest car. But that's not what we see in the Bible. It's about servanthood. And Jesus said, if you want to be first, learn to be servant. If you want to be the number one, become the slave to all people. And so we need to see that we have to change our attitude because otherwise we produce a slave mentality. We have somebody at the top and everybody else is his slave. He's the man of God giving the orders and everybody just obeys him. That's why there are many church splits, because people get fed up being a slave and they want to go and be their own boss somewhere else and employ their own slaves. So we need to understand that if we will serve, then things will happen, things will do that. So that's very important to understand, that leadership is about servanthood as well as relationship. Now, just one of the big issues about leadership is leadership is about reproducing ourselves. You know, we might be a young leader and think, yes, you've got years ahead of you, but you need to be raising up and producing other leaders. And when we produce other leaders, we need to look at this. As the church grows, we might want to appoint other elders. We want to put people in position of leadership. But we need to look beyond people's natural ability. We need to see that yes, the first thing is we have to look at their character. That's very important. A lot of people have gifts, but their character is very weak, and so therefore they are like, instead of walking on two good legs, they've got one leg is shorter than the other. The gift leg is very strong, but the character leg is weak and short, so therefore it lets them down. So first of all, we need people of character, but also we need people with gifting, and we need to understand what people's gifts are, and we need to put them in the right place with their gifts, and also and we need to help people develop their gifts, develop their abilities. Don't just give a person a position and leave them in it. We need to actually help develop them. We need to give them, to mentor them, to train them. We might not have the ability to do that, but we find other people that can do that, so they can be developed to become more efficient. But also there's not just character, there's not just gift or ability, but the other big issue today, especially with anybody, is availability. Many people have gifts, many people have character, but they are already too busy and they're not available to do that. You give them a position, they say yes, but if they don't have the availability, then it's going to be frustration for them, frustration for you, and frustration for the people they're serving. So we need to make sure that people are available. Some years ago I came across a little booklet called Entering and Leaving. And this man was explaining how that, you know, in life, everybody is born, so we enter life, and eventually everybody dies, so we leave life. And he said basically life is made up of entering and leaving. You enter school, you leave school. You enter a job, you leave a job. You enter church, you might leave that church because you move to another town. And what he was saying is the way we leave somewhere determines how we enter the next place. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're in a church in one town, and something happens and you get upset. Perhaps the pastor lets you down, or some people you have a disagreement with. But if you do not resolve those problems and you leave, you might say God's told you to go somewhere else, or something. You know, we often make an excuse instead of telling the real reason. But if we don't deal with that, then when we join another church, we're going to take those problems with us. It's like an invisible pack on our back. At first everything seems wonderful, but sooner or later something will happen and that will come up. That's why some people are always changing their jobs. They're in one job, something goes wrong, so they leave without solving the problem, get another job, and the problem keeps reoccurring. So it's very important in every area of life you resolve the problems, you resolve the conflict. That's why Jesus said forgive. If you've got a problem with your brother, go to him, deal with it. Don't just let it stick inside of you, deal with it, otherwise it's going to deal with you. And that's why there's so many broken relationships and so many broken marriages, because people do not resolve the issue. So how you leave one situation will determine how you enter the next one. So for your own self-interest, deal with issues, and then you have a clean start to go to the next place. Otherwise you're going to face a continual of the problem.